Hey guys, Bill here with World Made Simple. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit off the beaten path, and this is something that a lot of people have mentioned in passing to me about why we don't do it and about it kind of coming about once again in the modern era, and that is the topic of underwater mining. I'm doing this kind of right after my Manta video because I feel like the two are kind of connected in a one way or another. That is emerging technologies in the underwater world. So let's talk about it. Well, underwater mining is not a new thing. In fact, it's been going on for almost 2,000 years as far as I'm aware. There's plenty of people who have been mining underwater off the coast for a while in terms of gold panning, in terms of going ahead and getting resources from the seabed, but not in the sense of deep sea mining, which is what a lot of people say today. The Earth is 70% water, which means that we actually haven't used 70% of all the mineral deposits on planet Earth. There's a lot of stuff in the deep sea. There was a company called Nautilus that went and surveyed one of the areas in the deep sea off the coast of Papua New Guinea. Now, when you mine stuff on land, the percentage that you get is directly tied into the amount of money that you're going to make. For those of you who don't understand percentage, think of it this way. If you have a block, something like this big, let's say, and that block is 100 grams, all right? For Americans, I'm going to use 100 pounds, Europeans, 100 grams, you know what I'm talking about, and you have a 0.6% yield, that means only 0.6% of that 100 grams is going to be usable material. That's almost the majority of land-based sites, is you're going to be in that point something percentage, not a very high yield, because most of the high yield places have already been used. Underwater is a different story. This place that Nautilus checked out off of Papua New Guinea had a yield of 6%. The estimated yield for just the field that they were in was in the trillions of dollars. So there's a lot of money to be made doing this. Question is, why hasn't anyone done so? The answer, it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest types of mining on planet Earth, if not the hardest, because you're going down to one of the most hostile places on planet Earth and then transporting all of that material straight back up. The Japanese tried this in the 80s and failed spectacularly. So a lot of people kind of said, yeah, we see that, we're going to leave that be because that was a hot mess. Now people are going back saying, we have all this new technology, such as underwater drones going to the Manta category. And on top of that, support ships. Offshore support vehicles, especially from oil rigs, are being kind of converted into offshore mining vessels so that you can go ahead and get these minerals from the deep sea. Countries like China are especially excited to do this because they need to feed that ever so gigantically growing economy of theirs. But there's a couple problems. First off, almost all the places that people want to mine are outside the 200-mile exclusive economic zone. Now, for anyone who's going, what the heck is that? It's basically kind of the end of a nation's territory in international water. So if you have anything within that 200-mile range, you can do whatever you want to it, whether it be fish or metals. You can do whatever you want. If it's beyond that, that's where things get a little gray. This is all set by an organization known as the International Seabed Authority, and these guys basically have final say on everything. Over the past couple of years, they've very quietly been kind of opening up these areas to mining claims in the international zone, thanks to the pressure within the organization. Now, a lot of you might be going, why doesn't this matter? Why does this matter, rather? Why does anyone care about this? And if it is such a big deal and there's a lot of money at stake, why isn't the US getting involved? Haha, the US never signed the agreement to become part of the Seabed organization. So we have no say as Americans on what's going on in the deep sea. We have no say whatsoever. On the flip side, that also means we can do anything we want because we don't recognize the treaty. We just don't, because we kind of are just like, there's really no point in us getting involved in this. All it's going to do is make people mad. So we're kind of letting the International Seabed Authority decide what they're doing first, and then we're going to jump on the boat after, literally and figuratively speaking. Now, why hasn't this happened? There's so much money. All the technology is now there. What's going on? Well, and a bunch of people are probably going to start groaning and moaning when I say this, but the Green Movement. The Green Movement has come out quite in force about this issue because the deep sea is one of the most poorly understood environments on planet Earth. We've mapped 10% of the ocean. We estimate there is between 2 and 3 million unknown species on the seafloor that we have not found. And this doesn't look like it's an over exaggeration. There's a huge underwater community we know nothing about. And now we want to try and strip mine that entire community. We have no idea what effects that might have. For a lot of people, the idea of protecting a few bacteria, shrimp, and squid over the prospect of literally trillions, if not quintillions of dollars in resources on the seafloor, who cares? Until about 3 weeks ago. There was a study that was going ahead and basically determining the value of the resources in one of the areas known as the Clipperton Zone. I believe Clipperton Zone is, I believe, how you pronounce that. The zone is filled with these rocks called manganese nodules. They're basically layer upon layer upon layer of all sorts of goodies: copper, manganese, cobalt, lithium. You computer guys are seeing why some people want to get involved in this right now. And as they started doing those studies, they started finding something really weird. When they would go ahead and isolate samples and study them for the decay rate of oxygen in the water, because animals use oxygen, so you can use it to see how many animals are in that water. Usually the oxygen just goes straight down, and you go ahead and determine how many living things are in the water based off of that. Didn't happen. Instead, the oxygen content went way up. Nowhere else was this occurring. And the scientists kept on trying to figure out what's going on. They did 2 different studies, and both times, with different pieces of equipment, they had this result, which means that there is something in this area producing oxygen. This now means that the entire deep sea current could be powered and oxygenated by whatever's doing this. And some people think it's the manganese nodules themselves, what everyone wants to mine. If this is taken out, it could potentially have disastrous consequences for the entire ocean ecosystem. Oxygen in the ocean is what keeps our marine environment alive. And the marine environment produces trillions of dollars each year. So this is now not just a mining issue, this is an agriculture issue. And a lot of countries do not want to risk their agriculture sector over deep sea mining. So in short, this is a really big unknown right now, and currently both sides are freaking out. Both the environmentalists who want to protect everything and the miners who want to go ahead and get some good old sweet cash. We'll see what happens, but ultimately I think it's going to come down to what the Seabed Authority says, and also how far China is willing to push this on the international stage, because they've been very quietly doing this on the side, and now with this study, everything's blowing up, and a lot more people are getting involved internationally and within their own country. So we'll see what happens, like always. I'll see you guys Friday for our news roundup, and probably going to be on Ukraine, but if something goes on elsewhere, we'll talk about it otherwise. Because right now it looks like the Ukrainians are doing really, really well on one front, but might be not doing so great on another. And we'll talk about that on Friday. So until then, take it easy, guys.